In 1970, the Beatles just split. Apollo 13 is limping home, half dead. Vietnam protests are tearing the country apart, and in St. Louis, Chevrolet is scrambling to build a Corvette. Late, chaotic, the last muscle car before emission-strangled horsepower forever. What rolled off that line may be the most important Corvette ever built. We have uncovered 20 factory secrets Chevrolet buried, supplier mistakes that accidentally created legends, prototype parts that escaped into customer hands, a clandestine racing program, and one Corvette that may have saved the entire program. By number 1, you will understand why. It starts with a strike. Number 20. The UAW strike that nearly killed the Corvette before it even left the gate. In May 1969, St. Louis assembly lines went dark. 128 days, nothing moved. By the time workers returned in January 1970, Chevrolet was desperate. Every deadline blown, every schedule in pieces. 17,316 Corvettes, the lowest production run for any C3. Quality control, compressed. Early cars rushed out the door, some barely more than prototypes wearing production tags. Archival memos warned of missing documentation, lost parts, unfinished fixes. The chaos of that strike is stamped into every 1970 Corvette, sometimes in ways even GM can't explain. For collectors, that means no two are exactly alike. Number 19. Spotting a January or February 1970 Corvette is forensic work. Start with the VIN. Early cars built right after the strike wear a 0J or 1J prefix, indicating St. Louis in the first or second month of production. There is no hiding it. But the real tells are mechanical. Check for a CAO 1702 radiator, narrower than later production, sometimes with handwritten notes on the tank. Look for exhaust hangers stamped 3948127, a part that vanished by spring. Look for odd ground straps or mismatched hardware, leftovers from the chaos on the line. Documentation is often missing or wrong. These beta-build Corvettes are factory anomalies in plain sight. For collectors, every bolt and bracket could mean a 5-figure difference. Number 18. The LS7 454, Chevrolet's Phantom superweapon. Dealer brochures promised 460 horsepower, a monster big block ready for the street, but the factory pulled the plug at the last second. No production cars, not one confirmed VIN. The only evidence, a handful of test logs, crate engine paperwork, and whispers from back rooms. Some say a General Motors executive's son crashed a prototype, sealing the LS7's fate. 5 so-called ghost Corvettes haunt collector forums, no build sheets, no proof, just rumors and swap tags. Here's what makes it insane. The most powerful Corvette engine of 1970 never officially existed, but the legend refuses to die. Number 17. The LT1 Chevrolet called it 370 horsepower, but the truth lived in the dyno room. Internal GM logs, SCCA tech sheets, even period overlays, none ever broke 340. The reason was conservative jetting, a restrictive exhaust, and that Holly carb with a red line at 6,500 RPM. Under the factory rating, it was a sleeper. Swap jets, bolt headers, and tune the ignition, and suddenly the LT1 wakes up. Real output jumps, sometimes by 40 horsepower or more. The weird part is Chevrolet lowballed the number on purpose to dodge insurance and SCCA scrutiny. For collectors, original dyno sheets are gold. For hot rodders, the LT1 is a blank check. The official story is just the starting line. Number 16. RPOZR1, the factory racer Chevrolet never advertised. Just 25 cars, each one a covert SCCA weapon, built for those who knew the right order code. Start with the LT1 small block, add the M22 rock crusher, then strip away the luxury. No power steering, no air, no radio, no automatic. All business. The price? $968.95 over sticker, a fortune in 1970, but it bought you heavy-duty suspension, transistor ignition, and a tank built to survive Sebring. Zora Arcus Duntov signed the internal memos himself. The order sheets exist, so do the VIN numbers. This was not a rumor, this was a sanctioned ghost program, hiding in plain sight. For collectors, ZR1 means more than just a badge. It is documented proof the factory was still building race cars, even as the world was changing around them. Number 15. Bridgehampton Blue. 2 cars, 1 name, and a secret split nobody talked about for decades. Early in the run, the paint supplier changed the formula. Not a tweak, a whole new pigment mix. The first batch, maybe 200 cars, wore a deeper, almost teal blue. After the switch, the shade lightened, more metallic, a different look in the sun. Official General Motors records are silent, but lab tests on paint chip cross-sections tell the story, different chemical signatures and different trace elements. Concourse of judges have fought over this for years. Some owners chase invoices from the original supplier, desperate to prove their Corvette is the real Bridgehampton Blue. The only way to know for sure, science, not paperwork. For collectors, that is the twist: 2 authentic colors, 1 paint code, and both are right. Number 14. Aerospace grade fiberglass on a street Corvette. In early 1970, Owens Corning shipped a batch of matte meant for missile casings, not for muscle cars. Wrong fiber diameter, a tighter weave, higher tensile strength, but the St. Louis plant was desperate, and the line did not stop. Bodies got built. Some Corvettes left the factory with panels that rang like a bell when tapped, the resonance different from standard glass. Micrographic analysis decades later confirmed the anomaly, fibers denser and more uniform, a signature only aerospace suppliers could leave behind. How many cars? The count is fuzzy. Supplier memo suggests fewer than 50. No paperwork in the build sheets, just the material itself. For collectors, it is a hidden armor, stronger and stiffer and almost undetectable unless you know exactly where to look. The only proof is in the sound and under the microscope. Number 13. Fire-resistant convertible top saved straight from the military spec sheets. Hart's FR cloth, the same stuff tested in textile labs for chemical flame barriers, found its way onto a handful of 1970 Corvette convertibles. Not a rumor, actual Hart service part numbers confirm it. The formula was drenched with brominated fire retardants, a chemical signature that sets these tops apart from garden variety vinyl. No GM press release, no warning label, just a quiet upgrade in the chaos after the strike. How many? Maybe 50, maybe less. The only proof is in the lab. Strip a thread, run the burn test, watch it smolder instead of ignite. For collectors, it's a sleeper safety feature. For everyone else, it's a factory accident that could save your hide. Number 12. Supplier chaos wasn't just about missing bolts or swapped engines. Sometimes it meant the wrong color seats bolted into the right car. Imagine ordering a black-on-black coupe and getting blue door panels, or a saddle interior with green carpet, straight from the St. Louis line. These were not restoration mistakes, but factory originals, documented on survivor cars and hidden in old supplier manifests. The only way to tell is to decode the trim tag on the door hinge. If the paperwork and the upholstery don't match, you've stumbled onto a true factory oddball. For collectors, these mismatched interiors are more than a punchline. They are a lesson in reading the fine print, not just the brochure. Number 11. Dealer brochures, the gospel of the showroom, or so everyone thought. In 1970, those glossy pages were riddled with typos and phantom options. LS7 Big Block was printed as orderable. ZR1 was sometimes shown, sometimes not. Interior trims, paint codes, even axle ratios. Half were wrong, half just wishful thinking. The real build sheets tell a different story. Options that never shipped, engines that never saw daylight. But the myth stuck. One typo in a brochure and suddenly every car show had someone swearing their Corvette was a secret prototype. The lesson? Never trust the literature over the paperwork. In the world of 1970 Corvettes, a printing error can turn into a legend overnight. Number 10. Zora Arkus Duntov didn't just sign memos, he ran a shadow network from his General Motors office. SCCA racers, weekend warriors, even a few street hustlers. If you knew the right phone number, Zora could make things happen. Off-the-books camshafts, prototype suspension bushings, dealer invoices coded with part numbers that never appeared in the official catalogs. SCCA logs and back-channel correspondence tell the real story. Over a dozen privateers got factory parts, tuning specs, even handwritten notes from Zora himself. No paperwork, no warranty, just a handshake and a wink. Some cars showed up at tech with hardware the rulebook never saw coming. The moral gray zone is clear. Zora's help was unofficial, but the fingerprints are everywhere. For collectors, these cars are rolling mysteries, factory anomalies with a human signature. The lesson? Sometimes the most important Corvette parts never had a part number at all. Number 9. Heavy-duty cooling and brake packages, factory race gear hiding in plain sight. Not every 1970 Corvette got the big block LS5 or the ZR1 badge, but some slipped out with oversized radiators, CS 1703 stamped right on the tank. SCC. A-logs list these cars by part number, not by VIN. Calipers? Look for the 545-530 mark, thicker, vented, meant for track days, not Sunday drives. Survivor cars still show up at auctions, their hardware never listed in the brochures. The twist, these parts were often installed with no paperwork, just a nod from a friendly zone representative. For collectors, it is detective work. Find the right radiator or caliper, and you have proof your Corvette was born for battle, not just boulevard cruising. 8th place. Mid-year, everything changed again. New emissions rules slammed the door on high compression. Early 1970 Corvettes left the factory with one smog pump, part number 3940932, and a 10.25 to 1 compression ratio. Then the bulletins hit. By March, a new pump, part number 3992070, appeared. Timing curves were softened, and compression quietly dropped to 9 to 1 on some engines. The difference was as much as 25 horsepower, gone overnight. Factory service memos warned dealers, but not buyers. Build date is everything. Two identical-looking T1 engines or LS5 engines can look the same, but dyno them, and one breathes fire while the other coughs. For collectors, the part number on the pump or a date-coded head is the smoking gun. The lesson, what is under the hood depends on when your Corvette was born. Number 7. The M22 Rock Crusher, factory legend and real-world minefield. Chevrolet built just a handful of M22s for 1970, but paperwork is a mess. Some cars ordered with M22s ended up with M21s. Some M22s were swapped in at the last second with no record, only a scribbled note and a plant log. If you are hunting a real one, forget the sales brochure. Start with the tail housing, look for the 661 case, and the unique stamp on the serial pad. Shift pattern feels notchy, almost brutal, straight-cut gears, no mistaking it. But the only proof that matters is the factory stampings. Order sheets lie. The metal never does. For collectors, a true M22 is not just rare, it is a mechanical fingerprint. Miss the details, and you are just shifting gears in someone else's story. 6th place. Resin roulette, experimental chemistry that left fingerprints only a scientist could find. In 1970, supplier memos reveal St. Louis ran experimental resins and adhesives through the molds, sometimes by accident, sometimes on purpose. Ratio variances, odd batches, even swapped catalysts all left subtle traces. The result was subtle changes in panel flex and aging, and even that unmistakable chemical odor. Some bodies off gas for years, others harden and crack. GCMS lab tests decades later found chemical markers, proof of the secret ingredient shuffle. Restoration experts know the difference between a survivor and a basket case could be buried in the lamination logbooks. For collectors, it is a hidden variable, one that never appears on a build sheet but makes all the difference in the world. 5th place. Engine casting numbers and pad stamps, the secret code of the 1970 Corvette. Forget the sales brochure. The real story lives in the iron. Every block wears a casting number, a date code, a set of pad stamps, each one a fingerprint. But in 1970, chaos reigned. Offline builds, last-minute swaps, even engines pulled from the line and restamped to cover shortages. NCRS databases and Heritage Center logs lay it bare. Pad dates that do not match, build weeks. Casting numbers outside the accepted range. VIN numbers that tell one story and stampings that tell another. One mismatched suffix went out of sequence pad, and you are staring at either a factory prototype or a clever fake. For collectors, it is forensic work. Decode the numbers, check the logs, trust nothing but the metal. The lesson, the block never lies, but the paperwork might. 4th place. Prototype. Corvettes aren't supposed to escape, but in 1970 several did. Factory test mules, cars with odd vehicle identification numbers, mismatched brackets, hand-welded harness tabs. Some were built for the dyno room, others for emissions labs. Most should have been crushed. Instead, a handful slipped out the back door, sold off as used cars or traded to insiders. Auction records and test fleet logs confirm it. Vehicle identification numbers out of sequence, hardware that never appeared on production models. One survivor wears a bracket for a canceled smog pump, another has wiring for a deleted gauge. The real twist? These cars carry no paperwork, no official history, just a trail of anomalies. For collectors, it's a minefield. Spot a prototype and you are staring at a Corvette with a past no one can fully trace. The lesson, trust the chain of custody, not just the badge. 3rd place. Micropart madness, factory hardware that never made the parts book. Start crawling under a 1970 Corvette, and the story changes bolt by bolt. One car wears a headmark TR fastener, another sports a no-name hex with a supplier's stamp you'll only find in tear-down photos. Some cars left St. Louis with Phillips screws where there should be Torx. Others got thick washers, or a lock nut borrowed from a Chevelle. No rhyme, no reason, just whatever the line could grab after the strike. Service bulletins tried to cover the mess, substitute this, ignore that, swap if you must. The official diagrams? Useless. The only way to spot a real survivor is to memorize the tiny details. For collectors, a single oddball bolt can be the difference between a 5-figure fake and a 6-figure original. The lesson? In 1970, even a screw could rewrite Corvette history. In second place, the Provenance Protocol, a 5-step checklist that separates the legends from the fakes. Step 1, decode the VIN and RPO. If the numbers do not match the story, walk away. Step 2, hunt for the build sheet. Sometimes it is glued to the gas tank, sometimes it is gone forever. No sheet, red flag. Step 3, casting numbers and pad stamps. The NCRS rule is simple. Iron never lies, but paperwork might. Step 4, lab tests. Paint chips, fiberglass, even convertible top fibers, tested by GCMS, micrographic analysis, and burn tests. Science does not care about folklore. Step 5, trace the archives. Dealer invoices, zone memos, SCCA logs, even old photos. If the paper trail vanishes, so does the car's story. Put it all together and stamp it, verified or unverified. No middle ground. For collectors, this is the firewall, 1 protocol, 5 checks, no excuses. The only way to know if your Corvette is a survivor or a story. And finally, in first place, the Corvette that proves the legend. 1 car. Not a rumor, not a magazine story, but a survivor with the scars and paperwork to show it. Start with the SIA VIN 1943 70S401XXX. The build sheet, found glued to the top of the gas tank. Brittle, stained, but real. RPO codes, all there. LS5 M22 Bridgehampton blue, ZR1 suspension, each option checked in faded ink, matching the hardware under the skin. The ownership chain reads like a detective novel. First sold in Missouri, traded twice in the 70s, then vanishing into a private collection for decades. Gaps in the story? Absolutely. A missing tank sticker between 1981 and 1994, an unexplained repaint in 1987. But the dyno sheet from 1971 survives, 365 horsepower at the wheels, signed by a General Motors engineer. Archival photos show the same car at Mid-America in 1975, wearing mismatched interior panels, just like the supplier manifest predicted. GCMS Lab reports confirm the paint is the early Deep Bridgehampton formula. The convertible top was burn tested, Hart's fire-resistant military specification. Every anomaly, every oddball part, every missing document, flagged, cataloged, transparent, no fairy tales, no gaps ignored. This is the end game. For collectors, the holy grail is not perfection, it is proof. The only Corvette that tells the whole story, chaos and all. If you want to know what really rolled out of St. Louis in 1970, start here. Every secret, every flaw, right out in the open. Across all 20 secrets, one pattern flashes like a warning light. The 1970 Corvette is a car built on chaos, factory mistakes, hidden upgrades, and unrepeatable options. The weird part is this. Every undocumented glitch now fuels obsession, drives values, and rewrites Corvette history in real time. For collectors, nothing is certain. That's what makes the 1970 Corvette, the last wildcard of the muscle era, so dangerous and so legendary. Which fact blew your mind? Drop it below.